What's up, Tiger Pack? It's your boy Black Tiger Talks, and here in the first ever Quick Talks Black Tiger video. Now, the thing is, Quick Talks is going to be a new thing I'm going to be starting doing, and the entire point of it is to talk about a single topic that caught my fancy. And the thing that has got me today is the Avengers cast announcement, Avengers Doomsday cast announcement. And what a cast announcement that truly was. Now, that 5-hour live stream they made, just 5 hours of just showing the backs of these chairs with the names of different actors on it, talking with Chris Hemsworth, is a very interesting, marketing tactic. Doing that made sure that, people had a lot more hype back into the fan base. So I gotta give them credit for that. Now, a lot of people think it was underwhelming, and it's true. It was a little bit underwhelming to see certain names that you already knew were going to be in the actual movie. I think it would have been smart to do the new names, the new names that people are really excited to see, the X-Men characters like Magneto and, Charles Xavier, Cyclops, Nightcrawler, Mystique, so on and so forth. But you know what? The current way they did so, that actually brought a lot of fans in there. It really helped them a lot. Not brought them in there, it rather brought them back, because that's the main takeaway I have from this situation. What we really had a lot of talk about beforehand was the idea that the Marvel Cinematic Universe was dead, the fan base was dead, and that there was very little you could do to bring them back to the fold. And I don't think that's entirely true, at least not according to what we saw here. The narrative was basically being brought around, the current fans. There are some diehards, yes, but a lot of them have been jaded. A lot of them have become haters, so to speak, and that they just can't be reached. But again, this showed that if you give them something that's actually hypes them up, they're willing to come back. A lot of those haters out there really just love the fandom, and ultimately speaking, they're willing to come back if you can entice them to come back, if you put out good content again. So that is the main takeaway I have from this. The fact that they, after putting in nostalgia characters like, the X-Men I mentioned before, that they can really do a good job of trying to get these people back. Now, of course, the Fantastic Four are also there. And there's some other characters that were there that are a little bit surprising. People like, the Wyatt Russell, the U.S. agent. Him coming back is very interesting. I saw Ghost was going to be there. That's very interesting as well. So you had a couple of characters that are very interesting, besides, of course, the Robert Downey Jr. final reveal, but we already knew he was in the movie. So that was a big reveal to the casual fans. It was a big reveal to the casual fans, I would say. It wasn't a big reveal to the diehards. And even, I think most of the casual fans understood this. It's only the normies that were really surprised by that. But at the very least, again, it created a nice little, big, huge hit of, hype. It lets you know that the movie's in production, and a lot of people are just waiting for a new Avengers movie. They want it to come out. They just can't wait for it. So I think, ultimately speaking, it was a great marketing ploy. That said, with the hype dying down, the reason why I made this video was because of that. I wanted to be able to gather my thoughts and actually address exactly what, it actually was. And ultimately speaking, while that was a great thing to build up hype, it didn't really give you anything more than that hype. And it actually leads to more problems than it does, lead to solutions, because you have all these characters. I think it was like almost like 30 characters, a whole bunch of characters they had there. And any of the characters they haven't announced yet, guys who will probably be in there regardless. And you start to wonder to yourself, can they even pull this off? Can they have all these characters actually have an impact on the plot? And the answer to that question is probably no. A lot of those guys are just going to be cameos, these small little things to really hype you up. But I doubt a lot of them are going to have more than like 1 or 2 voice lines. Let's be honest. So I think that you got to make sure that while you want to, be hyped up for the movie, you have at the same time have to kind of calm yourself down and be more willing to understand exactly where we stand, what is actually possible. Don't allow the hype to, build up your expectations way too high, and thus, you end up hating the movie. At the same time, I, to be honest, don't really have much faith in what Marvel can actually do to make good movies at this current moment. They've done a great job of alienating the fan base with pretty terrible movies, one after another, and terrible TV shows one after another, or at the very least, they're going to have a hard time trying to bring people back in general. Again, this video showed that it's not impossible to bring people back. People are still they really want deep down to see something great. from that franchise. And I think the same thing is true of other Disney franchises like Star Wars. I think Star Wars, if you did something similar to this, it would probably get people back on board, you know. So, but that all said, it was a great promotional stunt. They did a good job of getting hype, and that's ultimately all they needed to do. For now, we get to sit back and wait and see whether or not they actually can deliver on that hype. And while I'm not super optimistic about it, who knows? They could pull it off. And if they can pull it off, then you know what? We'll be back on track, MCU hype train back, rolling. So that alone is pretty good. It's pretty cool to see that, especially in a, rather dull kind of year for, content when it comes to the Hollywood, stuff. A lot of movies are failing right now, and it would be nice to see the Avengers come up with something really huge, something that's really, crowd pleasing, a big summer blockbuster to kind of bring us back to, the golden age, so to speak. So anyway, that's the video. Hopefully you guys will like and subscribe, for further content, and I'll see you guys again in the next video.